B'Ezras Hashem Yisbarach. Yom Sheni LeParshas Vaeira. Shnas Tovshin Ayin Vov. Yeshiva Tiferes Avigdor. Today's shir sponsored Eloi Nishmas Leah Bas David. Same yahrzeit as the Yeshiva, the Motel Gift Group, and the Neshama should have an Aliyah, and her children and descendants should bring her a Nachas Ruach. In this week's Parsha, the Parsha begins with Hashem talking to Moshe sternly. Vayedaber Elikim el Moshe, not Vayomer, but Vayedaber Elikim. Midas Hadin, speaking to Moshe, and this Amira, this Dibur of Hashem comes in response to a discussion that transpired between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe in last week's Parsha. Moshe Rabbeinu performed his shlichus to take Klal Yisroel out of Mitzrayim. Very important lesson here, because we deal with this in our life, and we usually lose ourselves. And Moshe Rabbeinu does the job, he gives the report, then he speaks to Paro and everything. And what is the result of that? The result is that Paro turns up the heat. It actually appears as if Paro says, you're telling me what to do? You think I could be told to let the Jews out? It's my economy, it's my Jews, it's my world. And he turns up the heat, Pasha. Vayitzav Paro bayomahu. This is after Hashem tells him, and Hashem says, no more tevin, no more straw. Tichvad, these people getting ideas in their mind, make the work harder for them. And Moshe Rabbeinu, the Av HaNeviim, himself, is blown away. He's like, whoa, Hashem, that's a doozy. That is called a setup. You set me up to go give them the good news that they're going to get free. Now, thank you, Hashem. I didn't want the job. I told you I didn't want that job. You push me, and I go and I mechazik them, and I tell them. I perform some miracles for them. And then what happens? You turn the heat up? I mean, that's a little bit, you want to turn the heat up before I came to them. That makes sense. You turn the heat up, then I come and say, Kinderlach, just spoke to the birds, I got a message for you. You go free. So Hashem all of a sudden turns the heat down. That makes sense. That gives you hope. To turn the heat up. He says, why did you send me to this mission? And you didn't save the people. Number one, it got worse. You want to show them some glimmer of light. And Hashem tells him, Hashem says to him, Ani Hashem. I'm taking, don't worry, I'm taking him out. That's not, you're misunderstanding. He says, Emor, say to the Bnei Yisroel. Go say to the Bnei Yisroel, Ani Hashem. I'm Hashem. And I will take him out. I'm going to save you from Avigdor. all these strong language, and taking you out, bring you to Yisroel. You gotta understand. If I was Moshe, you know what I would say? Excuse me. You think they want to hear that? If I have a kasha right now, and I don't understand what's going on, you think that's going to be chazak right now? Do you think for 1 second that if I go and tell them what Hashem said? Oh, don't worry about it. The heat's turned up. Just ignore it. You get out, guys. I told you get out. You get out. Don't worry about it. You're going to be there to Yisroel. I'm taking you to Yisroel. What kind of that? L'chayra, and so come to Mount Torah, give you the Torah Sinai. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should first, you know what they say in America? Show them some encouragement. Open the door a little for them. Just go out of your way to show them that you love them. Give them some love. Show them you love the people who are suffering. And then, you show them you love them, then you give them chizuk. But you turn the heat up on them after you tell them you're getting out. It's a bomb kasha. But there's such a lesson here. You know, Hashem, Kel Shakai, you'll see me, I'm in business. What's the answer to the kasha? What kind of zach is it? That's question number one. We need to understand here, because this is a powerful lesson. A lot of times in people's lives, they have a move. This is what this is, a situation. This is a situation where Klal Yisroel was depressed, they were downtrodden, they can't listen, they don't want to hear it. Give him tachlis. Show them something. And then it gets worse, and it's supposed to be an encouragement. And this happens to a lot of people. People know what happens? People get a little bit of Emunah. And they start to do something, a little bit of Emunah. And they say, Hashem, it's getting money, Hashem. And I have hope, Hashem, I know I have hope. And all of a sudden, boom, they got a sack right in the nose. They say, Hashem, what's going on here? I just started my Emunah with you. You punched me in the face. It took me a while to wake up. Okay, so I finally woke up and I got some Emunah. And I davened to you, and I prayed to you, and I turned to you. And this is what you do back to me. Where's the seichel? So what does the guy say? Hashem, you're not home. That's what the person says. Sometimes it goes to a Rav, and the Rav tells, no, you might say Emunah with shvach Emunah. The Emunah is gefelt Emunah. The Torah says the Yidden had Emunah when Moshe Rabbeinu came to them. And Hashem still turned the Yidden. What's going on over here? Question number one. Question number two is, when Moshe Rabbeinu first went to Klal Yisroel, he tells Moshe to go take him out. No, Moshe says, oh no. He says, I'm not going to listen to me. I'm not going to get to first base. You know what they're going to say to me? Hashem never appeared to you. What did Hashem do? Hashem said, okay, let me give you a couple of shtick. Let me give you a couple of ices. Let me show you what you tell them. And just to show the Yidden that you didn't make up the story. Just to give them a little bit. The only thing Hashem encouraged them was that Moshe wasn't a liar. That Moshe didn't dream this up. He wasn't a redeemer. Hashem, he's on a mission from Hashem. And he does it. And then what happens? The people believe. And Vayishmu, they listen. Ki poked Hashem es b'nei Yisroel, v'chiro es onyam, vayiktu v'yishtach. The Yid Mamish, it says, they push it, bow down, they Mamish, finally, we see the glimmer of hope. And then what happens? It says in the pasuk. Moshe and Aaron went to Paro. This all took place between the Klal Yisroel and Moshe. Then they go to Moshe and Aaron goes to Paro. And they say to Paro, Koyamar Hashem elei Yisroel, Shalach es ami v'yavduni, and the Yochayguli b'midbar. Now, you got to understand, the going to Paro was a marvelous miracle. I mean, to walk into Paro's palace, the Chazal tell us how all the Sha'arim where Mamish had these chayis, royas, I mean vicious lions, tigers, bears, I mean snakes, I mean all kind of vicious kind of stuff. And Moshe Rabbeinu walked in, says V'hinei, and behold, by the door over there, Shnei Kfirei Aroyas were tied with metal chains. Ve'ein ish yotzei above ifnei, and no person could, you didn't come in, you didn't come out, unless you wanted to be lunch for them. Levad asher yitzava hamelech levad. Paro had to give it, these were trained animals, their only answer to Paro. And what happened was, the people saw what's going on. So what did they do? It says the workers came, they saw Moshe and Aaron, they unchained the lions. I think give a little bit leeway here to be able to have chaparayim, Moshe and Aaron for lunch. Vaymar Moshe. No, Moshe did. Moshe comes walking in. Two fellas, two chashuvim, tall, Moshe and Aaron, very tall people. And also these guys like these pit bulls. And pit bulls would be a nice thing for this situation. This was a mamish, it's very hungry lions. You sure they didn't feed them too much, these lions. And Yoda Samata, he takes the stick and he waves the stick and garnished. Okay. And it says the lions came together with Moshe. They started walking next to Moshe. And they walked into Paro's house. V'akfiru bo imam b'simcha gedolah, it says, kasher yisamach hakelev v'eladoinov. Just like a dog. When the master comes home, the dog jumps, goes, squads, all excited about his master. He said they became like puppies. These two lions became Moshe and Aaron's puppies. B'simcha gedolah. Like a kelev when his adoinov comes from Minasada. Paroi saw this. Vayitma al kocha. He was he broke his security. This was Paro's unbreakable security. Vayival moed. He became mevuhal. He lost himself. Because besides for the fact that these things they looked like bnei elikim. They looked unusual. Appearance. And the Melech said, what's the Paro starts to stutter, what do you want? Not much. Hashem Elokei Yisroel sent this to you, let you know, Shalom Samu V'Yavnu. You know what Paro's first response was? Vayira Ma'oid Mipnei. He became very afraid of them. He was so confounded. Know what he told him? Go away, come back tomorrow. We'll talk about this tomorrow. Today, I gotta get around. I wasn't ready for you guys. You caught me in the pajamas. You caught me a little bit, I need to go out to the Nile a little bit now. A stickle for a swim. Vayif and Abaisai, to watch him mafad himself. It was a stickle matzim over there. So Alter from Kelm says, could you imagine if Moshe and Aaron would have first gone to Paro? Wouldn't that have made more sense? Imagine they would have first come to Moshe and Aaron, would have first come to Paro. And he said they would have walked in and done this shtick. It would have been the talk of the town. It would have been mamish thunderbolts. The news would have mamish gone meshugim. Then they would have come to the Klal Yisrael and say, by the way, boys, I got some news for you now. You hear about that, right? Hashem's taking you out. Hashem is taking you out, my friends. They would have said, wow. Wazoo. They would have said, that's it. Baruch Hashem. Instead, know what happens? He goes to them first. Kilo behind Paro's back, not publicly. He goes to them first. And then after he goes to Paro. He said if they would have gone first to Paro, I would have gone first to Paro, and then they would have believed right away. So he says, if you look in the pasuk, it says, "Va'achar bo Moshe va'Aaron." Afterwards, Moshe va'Aaron came. After what? What's achar? only after Vayamin Ha'am. It was only after Vayamin Ha'am that it was Shaykh. It was the B'schus the Emunah that Klal Yisroel had that enabled them and gave Moshe and Aaron the koyach to come to Parai with Aaron. And if they would have never believed it, if there wasn't the Vayamin Ha'am, Vayishmu ki pakad Hashem es b'nei Yisrael, Moshe and Aaron would never have had the ability to come into what the Geula began. At first, they had to demonstrate Emunah. And what happens was, the Emunah that they had was the Pesach of the Hatzalah. And then it began. Now, that was the first thing Hashem showed. Look, you had Emunah, look what happened. So now, what happens? You think, okay, so they had Emunah, okay, Hashem, they had Emunah. All of a sudden, Hashem says, what's that with that? It's not finished. It's not the cool yet. Hashem turns up the flames. Turns up the flames. And it gets worse. Much worse. They have to get millions of Jews, millions of Yidden have to go forage for their own straw. They have to go, so they had to go over the whole land of Mitzrayim to find straw. The lachatz they had. With the pressure, I can't imagine the pressure they had. They'd go all over the thing, they were being beat. When they went into the streets, running around looking for straw, the Mitzrish kids, these little Arab kids, these little pieces of dirt, when Mom was beating the Klal Yisrael, and the kids were helping them trying to find things, they were ripping them straw. I mean, you know what happens? There's nothing left. To make bricks, the government already had Parai had already gathered all the straw for himself. He knew he had a business going on. So all the straw he brought off. They had to go find straw from where? Who knows where? From the middle of sidewalks. They couldn't take fresh grass, you need straw. You need tevet. Dry straw. Where did they get dry straw from? You didn't give him dry straw? So Pasha, they went to unbelievable. And Moshe Rabbeinu comes into Jerusalem. Lo ma'ariyos Hashem. Lo ma'ariyos. Know what Hashem tells him? Let me tell you the answer, Hashem says. Go say to them. They're going to get out. In this matzah, tell them they're going to get out. Tell them I'm taking them out. There's going to be Matan Torah. There's going to be Eretz Yisrael. There's going to be the works. You know why? Hashem says, to get to step 2 of the Geula, you need more Emunah. You got to have Emunah at level 1, and then you got to have Emunah at level 2. If you're only level 1 Emunah, that just gets you out of the box. That just gets you going. If you want to be Matzliach, it gets worse before it comes back. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu didn't happen. And even he was blown away. If we wouldn't have a Torah, I once told somebody, I said, what do you think? What kind of nonsense? You ever heard something in the world? This is Torah statement. Torah statement, this is it. Torah says that Moshe Rabbeinu was blown away at this. You want to know something? Torah says that Moshe Rabbeinu, Rashi brings down, not for Rashi, but never said that Moshe Rabbeinu paid a hefty price for this. Because Hashem expected Moshe Rabbeinu at this time to chap what was going on. Don't you chap Moshe, this is part of the Mahalach? It's not a one-time Emunah shot. You know the Yidden had to have Emunah and Emunah and Emunah till knowing that Spitz Emunah came? By Aminu, by Hashem, by Moshe Avigdor. It says when he's standing at Kriyas Yamsuf, and he saw all the Mitzrayim laying around, by Yosha Hashem, by Yamahu, as SHLITA, by Aminu, by that. I thought they believed way back. There's Emunah, and there's Emunah, and there's Emunah, and there's Emunah, and there's Emunah. Every step, Rashi says, look what Rashi says. Vayemer Hashem al Moshe, if the Moshe comes with his time now, he says, Atosira, now you're going to see. Asher Esel apart. Now you're going to see. Rashi says, Hir harta al midoisai. You mahar racham, Hashem said. You suspect me. You ask kashas on my behavior, my conduct. Like Avram, not like Avram. Shamarti loy, that I said to him, ki biyitzchak yikar lechazar. No. V'acher kach amarti loy, halei loyla, v'loy hi racham idoisim. This is mamash. Every year that I learn that thing, I'm mamash to spoil out of Avram Avinu. You get a zaz zog. You wait years of Emunah b'Hashem. Hashem fulfills His promise. You're 100 years old. And now you had nachas from 36 years old. Now you have no kids yet, no future yet. Hashem tells you, take the kid and shecht. I don't shecht the kid that I gave you. Excuse me. You should say Vaeira. You should be put to Brog and Hashem. You know, why are you doing this to me, Hashem? You know what I mean? I don't understand it. I want to have a tightness on the road with you. Lo yiraharti acha b'doisai lefikav. Now Hashem says to Moshe, Tira, you're going to see. Ha'osi leparo, Tira, what I'm going to do to Paro, you're going to see. But v'lo ha'osi lemalchi shiva ha'umis. But I'm bringing the text Yisroel. Because this test, Hashem felt he should have passed. This was a test for Moshe Rabbeinu, a direct test, and he didn't pass this test. And Hashem was a very tough. Ani Hashem Elokeichem nemel mipara. And Hashem is medakti with tzaddikim kechut asayra. And Hashem said, now you're going to see. The next shlav of the show you're going to see. But you're not going to see the end. The Malchi Umas. And basically we have to understand that this happens. I noticed it happens to people who become frum. The people who become frum, very common thing is they start to get Emunah in Hashem. They start to believe in Hashem. They start to feel there's a shikashaychus. And all of a sudden, I started noticing that a lot of them started getting hit in all challenges. Sometimes the wives didn't go along with the husband. Remember, there was a certain person who I was trying to convince to become frum. And it was the Kaishi Gadol that he became frum. The Kaishi Gadol. And he didn't have any children, he only had a wife. And at that time, the wife said he was thinking of keeping Shabbos. But to keep Shabbos, he would have to walk like round trip to shul and back. It was like 4 or 5 miles. It was a very, very far trip. And his wife told him nicely, if you go to work, if you keep Shabbos, she never worked on Shabbos. I'm going to start working on Shabbos like 24-hour shifts. Or 20-hour, very long shifts. And the guy was mamash tzibrochim. And he committed himself. And his wife kept her word. And he asked me, he said, is this what Hashem? I commit to Hashem. I give him my whole life. And my Eishis Naurim, the wife that I love and loves me. This is how Hashem pays me back. I figured on the weekend we could stay at home. And we can discuss Yiddishkeit, we can discuss about this, then we can push it. I'm sitting at home pulling the hair out of my head. And I remember I called myself, I told me, you're right. I understand. At that time in life, I didn't understand. And I called myself. Zayda said, tell him not to worry. You should stay strong. Remember, there was another doctor who decided to become kosher. And he bought himself a whole new pots and pans. And his wife came and cooked chazer, dov rachim. So I called my Zayda. Zayda said that, tell him not to worry. It's going to work out. Don't eat on paper plates. Go there. And they were thinking, the guy told him, what? guy stuck to his guns. Tell him it's going to work out without a suffering. It's going to work out. He even gave me an amount of years it's going to take. I was thinking, years? How about days? How about weeks? Gave me years. About a couple of years, he said, it's going to work out. And he stuck it out. And his wife became a tzadekis. Mamish a tzadekis. A lot of frum wives would be like frum like her. And Adel, mamish a tzadekis. To give you a degree what kind of tzadekis she was, this was a fellow who liked to learn a lot of Torah. And a lot of people felt he was shirking his parnasa because he was learning Torah. And it was yesh dvar begab. So people call me up and say, you know, the guy's going a little overboard. The guy's about parnasa, and the guy's not making parnasa. That's why I called his wife up. Let's see what she said. And the word she said stuck in my head. Mama shook me up. You know what she said to me? Brog, one thing I know. When it comes to Olam Haba, you're the Rav, the rabbi in charge. I will never intervene in such a question. I said, what? I said, what about Parnasa? She said, everything comes from Hashem. If you think my husband doing the wrong thing, you tell him. I don't allow myself to get into that question. I'm thinking, are you crazy? And there's a lady who's not stam, put together and puncher and strong-minded, and has an opinion. That's Emunah. That's Vaeira Emunah. Well, look, my tzei says, look, that's what it was. The other guy said he can't handle it. Can't handle it. Dropped the ball. His wife died of Misa Meshula She'en Kamoisei. Hashem gave a lot of, he treated her like Bari, gave her a lot of makis, and she woke up, and when she got better, she went away from Hashem, and then at the end, she got mamish terrible makis. What a Misa she had. Long, drawn out Misa. My husband called me up, if I hadn't talked to him in years. He calls me up, tell me. I stood something, Kathy. Her father gave a Goyish name not to be any, should not be any semblance of Judaism, or Jewishness. I told him Hashem is a Baal Racham. I said, you always come back to Hashem. But he never came back to Hashem. She never came back to Hashem. And that was that. Hashem tells Klal Yisrael over here, in our life, we experience this. A person comes close to Hashem. You get Emunah. Here's a guy who's suffering with parnasa. This is a classic. Here's a guy seeing his parnasa starting to go take a dip. The guy wakes up and he calls a Rav, or Hashem sends him a tape, or a CD from somewhere, or he sends him a book about Emunah, or whatever it is, and all of a sudden the guy opens the book and says, oh my gosh, Hashem's talking to me. Maybe it's stuck here, maybe this, maybe that. I'm going to mechazik myself. And he goes to the Rav, do I have to give tzedakah? That's too hard to me. I got a heter from a Rav not to give tzedakah. I told the guy last week, Rav gave you a heter. Ask the Rav, how did she learn Pshat in the Gemara in Gittin? The Gemara says, a guy sees Muraya Adam. He says, oh, the Rav told him like this. The Rav told him, nice Rav. He told me, if your mezainis is mitzumtzum, we told him, if all you have is what you need, that you take care of yourself. Only above and beyond that, if you have leftover, you give stuck. Stuck is over leftovers. See, you must have a different text. Don't know who the Rav is, because that Rav had a different text in the Gemara. My Gemara says, if you see Mraya Adam, Shem is of mitzum tzamin, Mushlamim, it just covers his needs. Yasem mehen tzedakah. What about my needs? Good kasha. You're right inside the Gemara. It's any maven. What are you supposed to do? So he said, what's the pshat? Emunah. You gotta have Emunah. You gotta make yourself if you don't have Emunah, it's not gonna work. That's what it says. You have to demonstrate some Emunah. Should I give you all my money away? I told him, like a retard. Did I say give him away? Did I say that? How's he get stuck in? Understand, it comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what a person has to understand. This is learning. And then you know what happens? The guy starts to give stuff. That's good stuff. Okay. Calls him back up a couple weeks later. It's getting worse. First it gets a little better. Tell you the story. A guy from Tells, who has been in Tells in 25 years. Calls me up not long ago. Everybody said, what? What child? He said, my parnasa was going real bad. I says, why they call me? I says, I always knew you'd address the call. I said, it's interesting. Like a pal Hashem put his mind. I said, you give tzedakah? No. I said, your wife has parnasa. Your parnasa. I said, it's going rough. Thinking I'm going into a menial field. I become a cab driver, maybe. They become an Uber driver. You know, you probably heard the things on the radio. We guarantee you $30,000 something. I told you, come on. Mechazik yourself in stock. Give me the erloch. Get close to Hashem. Be mekabel right now. And he did. And the next day was a Sunday. He went to work. And his business boomed. He said, it was not normal. It was like a big sign outside, grand opening. We're giving away the stuff for free. He was so happy. I told him, don't be so happy. That's the beginning. Hashem just showed you, he heard you. But the test goes on. 3 weeks later, he calls me up. I think most of them come Uber driver. What happened? All of a sudden, my wife now got a cut in her paycheck. That's it. What do you think? It's over with? You think you're a tzaddik? Doesn't work that. Emunah doesn't work in one shlab. Now it's chazik yourself on Emunah. So there's another test. Get to the second shlab. That's what a person has to understand. And if you do that, that's how you make it out. Here's a guy's a child who's sick, Rahman al-Islam. He gets a terrible report, and he's mechazik himself on Emunah and Hashem. He goes to a doctor, no doctor tells him, I think there's a glimmer of hope. I see hope. Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch, he's ready to make Mamishun say that. And he sends him to some far out place to go to a hospital, goes to a hospital, and what happens? It's the beginning looks good. All of a sudden it turns terrible. It's a true story, let me call it. And missing story. Guy with Mamish, ois mensch, call me, I said, mechazik yourself. And there was hope. He got hope. And then he goes back a months later, forget it, it's all over. I said, what's over? Did you bury it? Buried your child yet? No, it's not over. Oh, it looks very good. Rest. I said, it's can't. I told the guy, that's gonna, you're finishing your daughter off. You're finishing your daughter off. Because now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to mechazik more in Emunah. That's the next step. You want to see bigger miracle? Hashem always does this. So what are you different than Klal Yisrael's history of Klal Yisrael? Gets a little better, then it gets worse. You start to feel good about yourself, boom. I said, okay, the kasha is not such a bad kasha. Moshe is the kasha. I understand that. But Moshe didn't have the territory before him. We have the territory. You have to understand that this, I told the guy, this is the biggest, that's what undoes people. That's what destroys people. You know why? They get to the centers, I tried, I gave my shot, and it didn't work. And you become vulnerable instead of being mechazik yourself. No. In every situation, in every single shlav. That's what it was. That's what it's all about. Hashem told Moshe, there's a nerdik is far away. It's unbelievable. And you have to think every woman you get it. You know what happens? You get to that matzav, you lose yourself. You forget. You don't think about it. Till you're in the matzav. Here's a guy calls me up, old Talmudish learning. You know, very hard matzav. I told the guys, now you're calling me. Okay. Never too late, I told him. I said, Rebbe, he said, give me some of that Emunah thing again. He said, you know, I forgot about it. I left here, I left Yeshiva, I'm in a different country now, I'm in a different state. You know, here they don't talk about that over here. But I got a kid now, you know, Mamish. Looks like it's very bad. I said, come on. So I pumped him up. I pumped him up. I told him it'll be a schuz. Oh, no, I punked him. Then, went back a little bit. One day, got a text from him. Matzos, critical. It looked hopeful. Now it's down. I said, it's very hopeful. I texted him back. You're not looking at it right. I told him, put your feet on the ground and keep your head up. Instead of putting your head in the ground, your feet in the air, and look at it that way, look this way. Don't be mechazing yourself. It's all it's about here. Strengthen yourself. Next thing I know, he's bringing this kid home. I said, Rebbe, I think I should do some kind of schuz, I think I should do something for this. I said, yeah, why don't you mechazing, maybe give some, I said, you don't get stuck, you've always been cheap on the stucker. Why don't you get a little stucker to somebody else who's in your situation, who's suffering with a child, and this is going to be your carbon taita. You can help him out a little, find out you don't have a financial problem. Well, help him out with the financial problem, watch him go. So that's a good idea. And let's get up. That's what people are. It's the same thing that happens every time. You know how many people are going to come to Shemayim, and they're going to find out. But Hashem, it turned bleak. The doctor gave up hope. Hashem said, so what? Don't you know the story of Mitzrayim? He gave up hope too. That was just a mask. That was just a mask. But Moshe Rabbeinu made that mistake. Yeah, he did. And then Hashem told him he made a mistake. Hashem spoke harshly to him. This, I'm in the middle of saving the kids. I'm taking them out. This is how you get out. This is the mahala. Let us be mechazik yourself. Let us dive into Hashem. There's a guy starts to learn. And at first it looks like it's getting better, and all of a sudden, boom. Boom. What the guy does, he says, he starts to get all for down, for tiger, for depressed, for this, that. What are you doing? Mechazik yourself. That means you're only the next shlav. You're going up. It always looks dark before it gets brighter. This is what happens to Klal Yisrael. This can say that this is the mahalach. And if you do this mahalach, my friends, you end up on top of Mount Sinai.
How do you know it's going the right way? Those words, how do you know it's going the right way?